30 seconds to ask the question and 2 minutes for each of the candidates to answer.
I recently came across Article 4, Section 23, which allows
Hey, Mr. Former Mayor.
to allow senior citizens additional 30 minutes. Would that be acceptable?
Additional, no, you don't, or certainly not you. No 30 minutes. Okay.
First, I'd like to thank you gentlemen for being here and volunteering your time as you have. My wife and I have been in Morrison since October of 2014. I have seen some definite positive improvements and changes. I've also seen some infrastructure problems as well as time has passed. So, do I have two questions?
No.
Okay, one question. What specifically are your action plans to help improve? Because I've heard improve, benefit, I've heard bring in industry into Morrison, as you gentlemen have been speaking. Specifically, what are your action plans to make those things happen?
Good. Okay. All right. Eric first.
Oh, hold on. No, just beside me.
All right. Thank you. Specifically, one of the, I have regrets. One of my regrets is that in 20 years, when I started on the council, and thank you, Bob, for being here, by the way. It's very correct. He is a former mayor. Should have been recognized, probably. I should have ran a bond issue for street repair. No, we really, I regret that because I didn't know, I'll just say this, I promise that we have the capacity to do that. It's just gonna take a lot of commitment. The financial resources are very challenging. Just to give you an example, in 2018, we went and had an engineering firm come in and look at what it would take to do 7th Street, which is the only street that goes all the way through Morrison, north to south. It was just shy of $700K. And that was a pretty elaborate rebid. I mean, it was going to be base work, it was going to be curbs, gutters. I mean, we weren't going to do it the wrong way. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. But to do that, you have to be able to bond it. We don't really have the sales tax base to facilitate that. And we really don't, there's only so many property tax dollars to go around. We're sitting in one of the most beautiful examples of what sales tax and what property tax ad valorem can do for your community. And I'd be remiss if you're running and didn't mention that this was financed by the Morrison Educational Foundation Authority through the town of Morrison. Which the council played a role in 2012, I believe. So,
15 seconds.
To answer your question, I would love to run a bond issue for street repair. If it fails, it fails. But I'd like to at least give the community a chance to address it and give them a good proposal on what it would do for the community.
Go ahead.
I didn't really hear the question a while ago. I'd like to hear the question again.
He's asking what your priorities are
That's it?
in a very condensed form.
That's a very condensed form of what I actually asked. What I actually asked are specifically, how do you plan to go about building the infrastructure for the community of Morrison? Building industry, building growth, building revenue, working on the roads.
Well, you probably already know this is an agricultural town. Industry is probably not going to come into play here unless it's like a bicycle shop or something of that nature. And all of those kind of businesses is going to stay in Stillwater. I don't see us getting any industry, as you call it, in Morrison. Now, what we will do is get little shops like an antique shop or something like a Dollar General store or another gas station, you know, something similar to that. But as far as industry goes, I don't see it.
So in an effort to bring those types of shops in,
No, sorry, it's not your question, we'll move to the
No,
next one.
we need to keep going. We need to let each of the
Okay.
candidates have a chance to answer.
Brett, please.
Yep. Go ahead, Brett.
Oh, how about, you wanna do Doug? Put him in the middle.
So, okay, Doug, we're gonna move to you. Did you hear the question?
Okay. Yeah, I did. So I don't know that I disagree. I don't know that you're gonna see a lot of industry come in, but you gotta understand you're a bedroom community. It's what Morrison is. You have people that work in Ponca and Perry and Stillwater. I think you embrace that. You've got a good school. I think as you attract more people to come in, I think the restaurants, the grocery stores, I'm not a big fan of Dollar Generals, but they are a fact of life. But I think as you have stores that come in, they follow the people. I think we make it enticing so that we have the sewage, we have the water, to be able to, when people want to build houses here, we're inviting to them. Does that mean eventually you're going to end up having to have some property rules, some city rules on how property looks? Yeah. Does that mean you're going to have to do something on your roads? Yeah. But you have to have the tax base, and really for Morrison, the tax base looks like it's going to be more people moving in.
Okay, Brett?
I kind of want to mimic that as well. Industry is a terrible word to say. You're going to need commercial. And when you say commercial, people don't do that. Dollar General destroys small towns. But if you look at a Dollar General in the right location, you could be successful, but you've got to be very, very smart where you put it. So when I said earlier you want to grow commercial industry appropriately and steady, you need to be very careful how you do that. So one of the things that this town desperately needs is we need housing. More than we need anything else. And I know that sounds counterproductive to your question, because our roads need to be fixed, yes, but they didn't get like this overnight. They're not going to be fixed overnight, okay? So one of the things that has already begun to happen, and which was discussed at a previous meeting, was agreeing to let the city begin to start fixing some of the bad issues in the town for roads is concerned. But you want to bring tax revenue in, we need to start building houses. But right now we can't. Interest rates are way too high, okay? So you want to start somewhere. We need to start working with people in town to start generating a way to start building developments. So we can bring people to town, we can continue to establish our school here, keep our school system up, build houses, affordable housing. Let me rephrase that. We need affordable housing, okay? Not iron horse housing, okay? I love that addition, but we need affordable housing for new families with younger children who can establish it, okay? That's what we need, okay? We have places that we can do it. Currently, it's just not time yet. We don't have this. Nobody can afford to do it right now.
right on time.
Yeah, I think I obviously share a lot of the common responses to that question. But the biggest thing that sticks out to me, guys, before we start talking about infrastructures, before we start talking about the commercial side of the community, our finances are in shambles. The biggest thing that I can account for right now is just the accountability of our resources that we have currently right now. The lack of common goal between our structure. I look to bring a common goal. Housing obviously is next on the list. We don't have enough housing in the community. The community is striving for more spots. It's virtually impossible to find a rental. That will tell you right now that we're lacking on housing. The development of housing, the development of people will bring in your infrastructure and your businesses. Right now, I think we have a lot of work to do before we start talking businesses. As you can see throughout the community, we're just not thriving on the commercial side, and that, like Brett said, does not happen overnight. We really have to get to what makes this town, the community members, housing, fixing, and holding people accountable, and getting everybody on the same common goal. Right now, we are failing at most of those key topics, in my opinion, before we get to the infrastructure.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next? Somebody else have a question? Yeah, so pass the
Leon,
mic.
you'll start this one.
There you go.
Okay.
Let me turn it on.
I'd just like to ask a question. I think the next thing we need to look at in Morrison is the streets. And I think you need to really look into the bond issue to redo the streets. And I think at that point, other things are gonna happen.
Is there a
What
question?
is your thoughts about voting a bond issue? Say it only raises your taxes $20
Per household.
per household.
I'm all in favor of a new bond for the city. There's lots of things we can spend money on. The problem is, we can't get the money. The money has to come from there.
Well, that's why you vote a bond issue.
And they gotta vote it in too.
That's right.
I think you would have a good chance, and it's something we're probably gonna do here very soon.
Okay.
Doug Gilbig, you want to answer that one too?
Can you repeat that question?
What are your thoughts about floating a bond issue to the town for street repair?
Oh, I mean, as long as you vote for it, I think that needs to be voted on by the public. I think if you're gonna ask the people of the community to pay for it, ask them, but do a vote. It all comes down to your city council and your administrator to be able to have definite goals on what you're gonna do with the money. Have an idea of how much money you're gonna raise and what you're gonna do with it. People don't mind getting taxed. They don't like being taxed, but they don't mind it as much if you know it's gonna go to something good. If you're just raising money to spend money, nobody likes that. As long as you have a goal, long term, on what you're gonna do with the money, I think people are fine with that. But that needs to be a decision by the people paying the taxes.
Okay. Brett?
Okay. This is where my wife tells me to shut my mouth, but I'm not gonna do it.
You better do it.
So, about 9 months ago, it was up for decision to bond for a new high school. It was decided not to because it was not financially responsible to ask this town to spend money for twice what it was gonna cost to build a high school because of the cost of materials. So my response is going to be the same. I don't think it's fiscally responsible to ask this town right now to bond for new roads. Now, I think that in the future, I think that that's a possibility. But I just don't think, from a financial standpoint, that it's responsible. Because right now, I think the cost of materials is way too high. I think that we can find alternative things to do that don't cost as much money, that we can help prepare for when that bond comes, to not just needlessly spend money, but that help prep for when that bond passes. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I still kind of refer back to our streets, didn't get this bad overnight. It was the lack of accountability on our resources that made the streets the way they are. The streets have been neglected. The streets have been looked over. And there's a 2-bedroom, 3-bath pothole on a street that should be charging rent. They've been neglected. They could be filled in. They could have a little attention. Everybody's got to be held accountable. And for the streets, though, I think still that Morrison is on the brink of growing at a tremendous pace on the housing side, and so I think that goes hand in hand with streets. Obviously, as the housing and the resources grow for housing, your streets will come into play. But immediately, I think that we can do a lot ourselves in house. I think that we can just a little bit of caring, a little bit of effort will go a long ways on our city streets.
If you pass down to Eric.
I'm good with that. Let's not turn it off.
The top button's the mute button.
I think it was.
Well, Paul, I'm going to talk really fast because there's a lot of things in the road here. So first of all, street repair as it pertains to a bond issue revolves around a number of different mechanisms for funding. They're right. You can address incremental needs on a daily basis, and we fund those projects. We budget about $8,000 to $10,000 a year for street and road repairs, and that's a drop in the bucket, trust me. If you need accountability on the streets, yeah, that's me. I've been here for 20 years, and I'm not going to run from that. We have neglected them. That's one of the reasons why my regret is so great and not going to the people with a bond issue for street repairs, because those are the kind of infrastructure needs that bring industry to Morrison. And I guess I would go back, last thing on the street repair and the bond issue, obviously I'm going to support it. I would love to run, I've already stated that. But the fact that it's going to directly compete with other entities, primarily a school, for tax funding. So we have to take that into consideration. It involves the whole community as well. But one thing, when I spoke about change to begin this evening, one of the biggest things that's going to affect our community in the next 18 to 24 months is 64 highway projects going to get widened. It's going to come through here, and there's going to be a minimum, a conservative estimate of twice as many people coming through our community. And that can be good, and that can be bad. The secret's out on what we have here. People want it. But we have to be able to step back and look at what we want our community to look like going forward. There's never going to be a shortage of people, in my opinion, at least not in my lifetime, in my opinion, of people who want to be here. So, yeah, housing is important, but I take the exception with the fact that I think industry can and will be here. If you put industry in a town like Morrison, there's no more shining example than what kind of Britain has done with the vintage restaurant. Small, very, very.
We're done.
I think we could do industry, but I do think we need to pass a bond issue for a street and everything. At least give it a chance.